We called it again, and the judge, the newly assigned judge in the Carmelo Anthony post-trial situation, has officially denied Carmelo Anthony's motion. After all of that, after all the new information that came out, after finding out the past of Austin Metcalf, the past of Carmelo Anthony, the judge said, no, it ain't happening. And the craziest thing is, he didn't give a reason why. He just said, no, we're not doing that. So obviously, as we know, as we've been covering this, the next step is going to be going to a higher court. We'll see if they decide to go down that path. But honestly, at this point, I don't think it makes sense. It's just going to cost them more money. And based on the evidence that we've seen that was presented and shown during this most recent hearing, I think they just need to let it go. Will they? We'll have to wait and see. But we reported over this over on Classy News on X. Make sure you follow us at Classy News. That's at CLASSENEWS on X, and the link is in the description. Here's what we had to say. Breaking news: Carmelo Anthony will not get a new trial. Judge Michael Chitty has denied the defense request following a 2-day hearing in McKinney, Texas. And one thing I did not point out in this post is that the judge actually had until Monday to make his decision. And less than 24 hours after the hearings ended, he said, no, we're not going to do it. Also, there are things being reported that the judge said, hey, I'm just going to email my decision, probably going to make it over the weekend, and we don't need to wait until Monday. So make sure you guys stay on the lookout for this email. And we have it here. Also, the defense argued his constitutional rights were violated, closed courtroom, a broken gentleman's agreement that kept him off the stand, and flawed jury instructions. Honestly, with all due respect, I think that was kind of Mike Howard's part, but we'll address that at a later date. The judge heard it all and said, no, the 35-year murder conviction stands. The next stop, the Texas Fifth Court of Appeals, a process that could take a year or longer. Carmelo Anthony is 19 years old. He'll be in his 50s if and when he gets out. So let's read what the judge had to say. On August 20th to the 21st of 2026, came to be heard the defendant's motion for a new trial. Upon reviewing the motion, the record, the evidence and the argument, the briefs and relevant case law, the court has determined that the motion should be denied. It is therefore considered, ordered, and adjudged by the court that the motion for a new trial is denied. The judge wrote this while he was drinking his coffee this morning. Good Lord. I mean, he's got notes everywhere by the presiding judge, Michael Chitty. All right, so let's get into an article from CBS News that talks a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes, how we got up to this point, and maybe we'll get some insight on why the judge made this decision. Check this out. The judge denies Carmelo Anthony's appeal for a new trial in the murder of Austin Metcalf. A judge has denied Carmelo Anthony's request for a new trial in the murder of Austin Metcalf after his new defense team called for it in the wake of his conviction earlier this summer. Judge Michael Chitty rendered the decision Saturday after testimony stretched into Friday evening. The decision could have a major impact on how people perceive the justice system in Texas. Anthony was convicted of murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf after stabbing him during a Frisco ISD track meet in April 2025. A Collin County jury rejected the self-defense claim and found he intentionally stabbed Metcalf during the altercation. I think they made the right decision in this instance. Friday's testimony followed a whirlwind day earlier, during which new background information was revealed about how Anthony and Metcalf lived their lives up to this point. Now, two attorneys took to the witness stand who are best friends in life, but on the opposite sides of the case. At one point in their exchange, it actually got heated over whether Anthony received a fair trial. Anthony returned to the courtroom where he sat beside his defense attorneys who continued to present their case that his murder trial was unconstitutional, unconventional, and the guilty verdict and the 35-year sentence should be thrown out. Come on, man. And one thing I think should be pointed out, and that I mentioned several times before we got to this point, when you're going to file a motion for a new trial, in this instance, you, before everything happened, before the trial went down, are seen as innocent until proven guilty. Now that a decision's been made, now that the jury has come to a decision and you've been sentenced, I mean, everything's pretty much done at this point, right? You are seen as guilty until proven innocent in a lot of ways. So this was going to be a tough hill for them to climb in the first place. And as I mentioned multiple times, Judge Roach, I believe, did a good job running a tight ship, much to our frustration because we wanted to see what was going on in this case. But still, it makes sense that the judge made this decision. I think it was the right decision. Also, the witnesses they used to prove that point was Toby Shook, one of Anthony's trial attorneys, who told the judge that prosecutors put them in a corner. It's not how it works, guys. Shook says the plan was for Anthony to take the stand in his own defense, but the prosecutors were going to severely limit what he could be asked because of his private gentleman's agreement not to bring up anything from the background on the defendant or the victim. And they said, no, that's fine. But if you're going to do that, you're not going to talk about Austin Metcalf's background. And then they made a handshake agreement. Now, both sides made the agreement because Metcalf and Anthony have troubled histories or violent behavior, to say the least. Anthony's background, which CBS News Texas first revealed publicly last night, was read in the courtroom when the state presented its case. In closing arguments, defense attorney Russell Wilson said a heated argument between prosecutors and Anthony's lawyers caused Anthony to lose trust in the state, contributing to his decision not to testify. Prosecutor Bill W., the state's only witness, said there was never an agreement preventing Anthony from taking the stand. Bill also said, who was acting as lead counsel in the hearing and also prosecuted Anthony in the murder trial, that the unusual rules were necessary because of the threats, intense public pressure, and misinformation about the case, not to mention all the minors that were involved in this case as well. His argument, the restrictions protected the trial. I didn't like it, but I can understand it. Now, Bill outlined a history of high-profile trials where he says they were compromised by threats and outside agitators. He claims that justified a murder trial that relied on private pretrial hearings, a tightly controlled courtroom, and a gentleman's agreement to keep background of Anthony and Austin Metcalf out of public view. But the defense says those measures went too far and the lack of public access violated the federal law. This article goes on, and it gives more information about what happened. We know, we're here now. Let's hear actually about what some of the people surrounding and involved in this case think about the judge's decision. Check this out. JD Miles posted about this on X, and he says, a reaction from Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis to the ruling by Judge Michael Chitty denying Karmelo Anthony's motion for a new trial. He said this: we respect and expected the court's decision denying the motion for a new trial. The jury's guilty verdict stands, and we remain confident in the process. Every defendant has the right to appeal, and our thoughts and prayers remain with the Metcalf family in the painful wake of the last week's hearing. And that is from Collin County's District Attorney Greg Willis. Also, J.D. Miles reports this: members of Karmelo Anthony's defense team have confirmed what he reported, and they are declining to comment at this time. No surprise, they're probably gearing up to decide if they're going to take this to the higher court, the Court of Appeals, or if they're just going to let this go. At this point, I mean, you got to take it all the way, especially.
So we're going to stop it there. I want to let everybody know before we move on with the show. For some reason, StreamYard is doing StreamYard things this past weekend and today. If you're looking to comment, you have to be on Souls of Thought horizontal. I've been trying to put it on vertical and other verticals. It will work on the Raw Society Network side as well, but for some reason on the vertical, it's not showing your comments. So if you would like to comment or let your comments be seen, make sure you're on the horizontal. I don't know what's going on that side again. So shout out to everybody who's here already, man. Sko, Penny, Jen, Marty, BB Sports, everyone who has already came in. BG is in the building. And of course, my esteemed host, we got your boy Uncle Plug from Uncle Plug TV. And then we also have the one and only First Lady, Conversations with Soft Rain. So we're starting off today. And what's up, Miles? Miles is in the building. We're starting off with the Karmelo Anthony case. His new trial was denied. But today, as you guys see, we are talking about understanding and the power of understanding. So I'm going to let you guys speak your piece as well on this. And all I have on the screen is just a quick little important steps after a murder conviction and denial of a new trial of motion. These are steps that need to happen immediately. Once these things happen, you guys can read over that while everybody's giving their opinions on this. But just ensure that everybody knows that it's not over just because he didn't get a new trial. There is other options, but those options will be viable in 2028. So the next time we hear something about this appeal or going into a new trial would be 2028. So what do you guys think? Thank you, Plug.
A denied motion is not the end, guys. Just, for those that are keeping their hopes up, a denied motion is not the end. This decision doesn't eliminate Anthony's right to an appeal, which is the next step. So they already knew probably out the gate that they wasn't going to get a new trial because of the evidence that was presented. So the appeal was probably already locked up, ready to rock. His attorney still, they have to ask the appellate court, that's what they call it, appellate court, to examine the legal or constitutional, what is it called? The legal or constitutional errors affected the trial. And but that gentleman's agreement was something very big. I don't see why they didn't address that. But at the same time, they did address it, but I don't see why it wasn't taken, a little more seriously, and that would have been more grounds of helping him move forward. But I think in the appellate court, it should be more helpful. But the this was expected. For me, it was expected, being that I've dealt with the courts before. I haven't dealt with the appeals process of anything, but dealing with the circuit courts before, I know somewhat how this works. You know what I mean? So I kind of figured he wasn't going to get a new trial, but the appeal should have been already locked up, ready to rock.
Yeah. What about you, Ray?
Hey, it's not the end of the road. It's not a dead end just yet. There's still room for an additional process. I'm not too familiar with the processes. I'm glad you got these graphics. So send them to me after the show so I can read into it as well. But yeah, I've said this from the beginning. I thought that murder was a bit much. I think that his the crime that he was convicted for should have been manslaughter and have a lesser sentence. I think 35 years was a bit much as well. And I was disappointed in the fact of his defense team. So at least it's not the end of the road type deal. So.
Yeah, with Penny saying there was too much gray to be black and white, that actual judge was a no-nonsense judge, from my understanding, that he was that he's a stand-up guy. He's all about right and wrong, no black and white, no, he's not in the race, he's about the facts. And it was a lot more of evidence that was actually entered into the courts that he took in evidence as well. So I think that's why he denied it. So it gives more attention and more time in the appellate court to lessen, not to bring him home, but to lessen the sentence. I think that's what it's about. And then with the time with when most cases, guys, like say a case that holds maybe 5 to 10, they will drag you into court they'll drag court hearings for a while, just so you'll have some time in. So just in case, if they can come up, like if the defense and the prosecutor can come up with a time more decent, and it's like the public opinion, the court of public opinion has to die down a little bit so people can forget, and then they'll present something of a lesser time. So they would probably like bring it, but he has to do some time just for the court of public opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because this is such a highlighted, high-profile case, so they'll do that. Like it's either sometimes it's a trade. I give you him for him, or we'll trade this time that he's already doing for lesser time. You know what I'm saying? Like if people say, "Oh, he's been locked up since 2026." So by 28, when he does get back in court and they start to bring it back up again, if they say a number like 8, they give him 8 years. You do 85% of that time. So you're going to do 6 and some change off of that. But he already has 2 years already in. So they'll be like, okay, when they hear, oh, he'll be home in 2032, they'll put it in months to make it seem like it's lengthier, but it's really it's really not that much time. So yeah. It's a game that they play in the judicial realm with time and verbiage to just to sway the public's opinion, so it'd seem like, oh, we got some retribution for the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's very unique. A lot of the stuff that has happened has gotten me more involved in just researching, understanding what's going on, kind of like what Plug is saying, right? Because I know a lot of times these things can feel difficult to deal with in the moment, but tonight we are talking about the power of understanding, right? So someone like Plug, who already understood the system, he never had expectations for anything different. And I think as us moving forward in society and in culture and in these systematic systems that we're in, understanding what the one end can look like and what the other end can look like gives us a better picture, right? So when I started doing some research and hearing some great content from the Fit Lawyer ATL, great conversation that she gives, they brought up the Strickland standard. And I did some research into that, and I kind of created this infographic. And it says the Strickland standard comes from the Supreme Court case, Strickland versus Washington in 1984. It's the test courts use to determine whether a criminal defendant received inefficient assistance of counsel, a violation of the Sixth Amendment right to adequate legal representation. And I think he falls almost directly into this with the handshake agreement that those people did behind the scenes. Because that was poor cross-examination strategy. They failed to challenge problematic evidence or testimony. We just found out about these text messages. We just found out about things about the Metcalf boys that they did. It was a lot of things that the ball was dropped due to that good old boy handshake that was happening behind the scenes. And I think, again, I don't think from just looking up the research of his team that he has now, he has a strong team. Even Fit Lawyer ATL was speaking about that a lot, that his team that he has now is very strong. I think they even knew that things weren't going to go as what we would consider planned for those who are looking on the outside looking in. But I would highly encourage everyone to just start getting abreast to possible things that could support the Karmelo Anthony family. Because I think now just being able to understand the system that we're in, the system that we're operating in. I don't know if you guys heard, but the last day he was in court, he had to wear a bulletproof vest underneath his suit. Just because it was still another safety stand problem. Like, it's so much on with this case that's going on. From the outside looking in, it just looks like he just got denied. But I think he's going to really be able to get a second chance. And like Plug said, I think the time being served is going to be something that actually benefits him in 2028. Because you guys got to remember, we're about to be in 2027 already. Like it took them almost a year to even get the trial started. So when you think about all these different levels, I think this is just something to look into, better understanding and the power of understanding, because I think a lot of our emotions are stuck in the lack of knowledge, right? For those who didn't pay attention or wasn't here yesterday, for the Lancaster family, I think the biggest thing that stood out was not just her grace, but her understanding of this system that we know is corrupt. She shout out to Sophie Lancaster. She even spoke about it, right? She understand that the police department did not benefit her case. Like, they didn't do anything for her. But I think, like, I don't think she said it on our live, that now she has a better understanding of what she needs to have an eye on within the system. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is the power of understanding. I think a lot of times our messages get misconstrued because everybody's sitting on every word that you're saying, and we're not actually taking the time out to try to understand each other. And I feel like that could cause more divide than us actually coming together to get to a common ground. But prayers to the Karmelo Anthony family. Again, the Strickland standard is something that stood out, and also that the Fit Lawyer ATL talked about. That probably be a great way for them to like move forward in the appellate court when they go. And but I don't want you guys to forget too that these deadlines that I have on here are very important too. Because another thing I noticed with Karmelo's case, look how late they waited to even get the new trial. The guy only had like 48 hours to come up with a decision, to hear the case. They flew Chidi in. He didn't even know about the case, y'all. He didn't even have the file. He wasn't even familiar. So we're asking somebody to represent a trial that he had no information on. Everything he was learning like the public was in real time. Right. So yeah, go ahead, Plug. My bad.
And the realest part of it is that it's so big to us that's in this space. You know what I mean? It's so big to us in this space. That'll just show you when these situations happen that it seems like this is a nationwide case. Man, everybody know about this case. No, they don't. No one is paying attention to what we deem is so important, that somebody that was being flown in to cover a case had no idea that this was going on. Like, and then just to think about it, and I want y'all to take this like to the head a little bit. Like, do they understand the climate that we're in? Like they're very understanding of what climate they're in. Because if that's the case, you would have never had that boy no bulletproof vest. Like, oh, we got security. We'll never think about that. But so they know that the things that we say that may be conspiracy theory, you know what I'm saying? We might be thinking we're being conspiracy theorists, but at the end of the day, you also gotta understand that they understand what climate we in. They understand that racism is prevalent. So let's not push that to the side and act like we're like the systems that be are not understanding that, you know, that this is very serious, because they took his security very seriously.
Yeah. And even the sketch artist had to have security the second day. They put her in the vest as well. Again, if you guys want more details about this, I don't know her personally, but her content is great. She was in the courts. Her name is Fit Lawyer, like FIT, Fit Lawyer ATL, and she gave a play-by-play. She is actually an attorney who flew in from Atlanta, Georgia to cover this, and she gave some great information, some great playback. She talked a lot about that. She said she knew things were bad when they kept talking about the handshake agreement. She said, like, when she heard that, and she said the phrase that stuck out to her is, "This is how we do things in Texas." And she said that's what stood out to her throughout the whole case. But the biggest thing I wanted to point out to you guys is these filing deadlines. So now that the denial for the new trial has already been denied, usually it's 30 days from the trial court judgment ruled to the appellate procedure 26-1. So again, we need to be looking in, making sure that his attorney Russell is actually getting these things moving forward now, right? We need to be seeing something in the next 30 days, or at least being able to look at public records and see if this has been pushed to the appellate court. These deadlines are strict deadlines. Missing filing deadlines can cause you to have to waive certain rights. So these things are very, very important moving forward, that these timelines are like very, very critical for the Karmelo Anthony family. So again, prayers to the Karmelo Anthony family. I pray that they continue to protect him, keep him in good spirits. I think him seeing everybody come out that represented in a positive manner is a positive thing as well. Because I think sometimes when you're behind those walls, you don't get to see the people fighting for you. But he got to see that, even if it was for 2 to 3 days, coming out every day, being unshackled. So again, guys, the fight isn't over. The appeal is an opportunity. We just got to make sure that they act now and that they move forward on it. And again, for those who do care about doing any research about learning more about the judicial system, the Strickland standard will probably be one of the biggest things that they can move forward with, due to the examples of the potential claims. The defense attorney didn't investigate alibis, failed to challenge problematic evidence or testimonies, and a poor cross-examination strategy, which we've seen all these things in play firsthand as the good old boy system, as they said. This is how we do things in Texas. And also, man, I don't know if I ever said anything wrong, but I do want to give some apologies, man, to the Anthony family, because after speaking to Sophie Lancaster yesterday, a lot of these families don't really know what's going on, man.
No, they don't.
A lot of people don't understand how to ask for help, how to seek help, how to move forward. A lot of people really are living in the world of denial about the systems that we are in. So if I ever said anything that came off negative in the Karmelo Anthony case to the family, I apologize. I don't think I did. I know I said I think he was going to be found guilty, but not of murder, just of something like manslaughter. But with that being said, I think a lot of times people are getting into these predicaments for the first time, and you're just kind of riding the wave at that point. So even the handshake, right? You probably think like, man, well, he said Karmelo and the parents agreed. Well, it's kind of hard to create I don't know how you're going to go on the stand in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
now listen,
go ahead, boss.
But you definitely right, bro. And it's a lot of people that when we be discussing like certain dudes that be going behind that wall, And the way they press you and the way they put that pressure down on you, the way they got you up against the wall in a certain amount of time they'll give you to make up your mind, and this and that and the third. You're getting phone calls from your mama, your sister, your baby mama, this, that, and the third. Boy, I'm gonna tell you something, boy. Hey, that's why I say be mindful of how you speak on people that's been in that situation where you see some cats that be having their life on the line for 30, 40, 50 years, and they 23, 24 years old. And this their first time being in real trouble. Because see, me, I can sit back a little bit because I understand I know how they work. I know how they operate. I done been up there through there many a time. So I know how they move. I know how they talk. I know how they come at you, this, that, and the third. But that's experience. You're talking about an 18-year-old kid and a parent that probably ain't never had nothing but a traffic citation, dealing with the courts, the circuit courts. Y'all better, hey, okay, if you don't want to educate yourself, then get in trouble.
You almost have to have a law degree in order to navigate the judicial system for yourself.
You do.
Because
you
really don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's why I got a Black Law Dictionary in here, and I don't get in trouble. You understand? Because I know how they coming at you, man. You'd be surprised how one word being left out misconstrue an entire investigation, a whole court case. Okay.
But with that being
but
said,
that's how we cover over here on No Middleman. Yeah. If you didn't know, tell them so.
But I was trying. You cut me off. But I will tell you, I will double down on this. Is another reason why the statement I said a month ago about we have to learn the system. We have to be educated and knowledgeable of the system, because everything they're doing was a lack of our knowledge of someone understanding or being able to tell that family, like, hey, that's not a good thing. Hey, you need to put them on the stand. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of other things coming out. A lot of people saying that those text messages was from gaming, because the girlfriend was still in the court every day she was there. So of course they're together. So like it was so much, that he could have done, but that's in the past now. So the biggest thing is to keep them in your prayers. And again, remember all those things. Myself, Plug, and Rain, we'll try to keep y'all up to breast on any little information we receive within this case. And but yeah, we're gonna get to the comments and then we're gonna move on to the next segment. But just wanted to talk about that because that did happen this weekend. And something I also thought of, anytime somebody say they're gonna give you news over an email, it's never good.
Right.
What you mean?
I thought that was weird. He should just held on
when
Monday.
he was in the courts Friday. If you couldn't tell me in person on Friday, no, I knew Saturday in a email ain't gonna be a yes.
It's gonna be bad. Yeah.
Do you think he made a phone call to the other judge?
No, because think about it. If he would have been the savior in this thing, if he would have said yes, you see what I mean? So that's something he would have did in front of the people. So that, you know what I mean? So we wasted time with these reindeer games getting Roach off the stand.
Was it the climate? Was it the climate that you think the climate, or he's probably concerned about his own safety?
I think the climate made them feel like they needed to give us some glimpse of hope, knowing that they weren't going to give us hope.
Because they ain't got to be the craziest thing. All right, let's be real. The craziest thing, you ain't got to worry about black folks cutting up. They know what we do. We know what we do. We're going to protest and stand there, and we're going to pod, and we're going to do our thing. But them jokers over there, boy, they ain't got to put, I tell you, how about this here? He ain't put on no bulletproof vest because of us.
No.
So his decision can also be altered for his own safety.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. It could go, I see what you're saying. It could go both ways for sure.
It's like what Penny had asked. He was like, why they just won't be the standard of the law? That ain't the climate we in, my boy. It could be anybody. He probably don't know who he around. He probably don't know who he's around.
And Penny, that's a great answer, though. I mean, that's a great question, because that's what we continue to say every night when we are on here, right? We are the loudest voices. Like, they are paying attention to what content creators are saying. That's why you get that, the text messages come out. let's give them this. Like, they're listening. Like, when somebody bring up something and they keep beating that dead horse, all of a sudden it appears, because they're looking at what the people want, and they feel like as long as we can make the people satisfied, we can do everything else we want within this system. So he said, I do understand what you're saying. He said the handshake agreement was undeniably foul. Yeah.
On both sides.
Might have said that's why they don't do deals.
Mm-hmm.
Might have said, do you think that because of the stigma associated with this case that he emailed it so he wouldn't be put on the spot?
Of course. I'm saying the client. Just what I was saying. That client, what the climate is. He probably concerned about his own safety. Come on now.
Yeah, he got back home. He got back home before he sent that email.
Yeah, you better believe it.
He was already on. Yeah, they flew him on a private. He was on a PJ. He was on a PJ back home. Yeah. They gave him the cold
one waiting on
they gave him the good old boy service right on out of Texas. Hey, he might have got on Jerry plane.
I'm telling you, boy. It's devastating how boy. Hey, I know we talk about this and we try to keep things, but them folks getting violent, man.
Yeah.
They getting violent, man. They getting real violent out here, man. And they ain't making promises. They making for real threats. They being for real.
But tonight we're gonna be talking about the power of understanding, and hopefully everybody who's watching tonight can take something away from this. Every segment we do tonight is about understanding. And I think we need a lot of it in today's society. If you guys didn't catch Uncle Plug's principles on Sunday, amazing. We need to have more conversations about those type of things to see where people stand, man, where people look at things. But the biggest thing is to get understanding. So as you guys know how we always do,